Human history has always been plagued by human nature. Yet civilization survives. Have you ever wondered how, especially in this atomic age, people are now much as they have been for thousands of years, but with one notable difference? Today, we're better armed. Human nature stayed the same while human technology advanced by light years, especially in the area of weapons and war. We're all thinking about it right now because the world's two great nuclear powers are caught up in a major military struggle. Could the world be on the verge of nuclear war? We've seen the headlines in PR. As Russia's Ukraine war intensifies, some warn nuclear escalation is possible. The Washington Post, the Ukraine crisis is now a nuclear crisis. Military.com, Putin nuclear order stirs fears, uncertainty in U.S. If Russia and the United States fought a major war using only half the nukes in their respective arsenals, it would be catastrophic. People would die from the immediate blast of percussive energy and thermal radiation emanating from thousands of atomic detonations. More would die, be burned, or otherwise injured by collapsing buildings and flying objects. In the hours, days, and weeks to follow, radioactive fallout would spread death to millions more. Fires would overwhelm the earth. Inside cities, smoke from burning buildings would keep rising for months. But the fires could not be contained to cities. Fields and forests would turn into massive infernos across the northern hemisphere. But their thick, dark smoke would not be limited to this hemisphere. It would go everywhere, drastically reducing the amount of sunlight reaching the earth. This would lead to global famine. One man who has spent decades studying the effects of nuclear war said that in this scenario, almost everybody on the planet would die. Almost everybody on the planet would die. Vladimir Putin knows this. He knows the level of fear and the validity of those fears. He also knows that Western leaders see him as mentally unstable. Putin has his finger on a dead man switch. He could destroy us, but in doing so, he would also destroy himself. That would deter a rational man. But who says Putin is rational? Because they were never sure of his stability, Western leaders have always tended to appease him. But appeasement did not work, just the opposite. Appeasement emboldened him. Every time we gave in to the terror he brandished, he became more callous to human suffering, less heedful of international law and of common decency. He became increasingly cavalier with his nuclear forces and with his threats to use them. The good news is that Russia's war with Ukraine exposed glaring weaknesses in the Russian military. Even if Putin wins, it will not be what he expected. He loves superweapons, and that's where he's been spending a lot of his military budget. He's like the guy who buys a new Corvette instead of paying the rent and buying the groceries. He let the mundane things go. His military failures make it less likely that he will invade another former Soviet satellite state anytime soon. But what about the present situation? I don't think he will authorize the use of tactical nukes in his war with Ukraine. I don't think he'll authorize any nukes for the present time. But he seems to be laying the propaganda groundwork for chemical or biological attacks on Ukraine. Those aren't nukes, but they are brutal and ugly weapons of mass destruction. The West would have to respond, maybe with a no-fly zone. That would mean Russian and American warplanes manned by Russian and American pilots shooting at one another in the skies over Ukraine. And that's war. That's war between the world's two great nuclear powers. I would propose to you that the question isn't will something go wrong? Hundreds of things have already gone wrong in the nuclear era. The question is, how are we still here? What has kept the world from blowing itself up? The answer may come as a surprise. If you are a follower of Jesus, the answer to what keeps the world from blowing itself up, at least partly, is you. Jesus identified believers in himself as the salt of the earth. Among other things, salt is a preserving agent. The book of Revelation describes a time of tribulation coming on the earth as God unleashes his judgment through a series of seals being opened, trumpets sounding, and bowls of wrath being poured out on the earth. These things will happen at the beginning of a period of judgment and restoration referred to in both the Old and New Testaments as the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is not the rapture of the church. Nothing must happen before the rapture. The Bible teaches us to live with the expectancy that he could come for us at any moment. But the day of the Lord is not like that. Several things must happen before the day of the Lord begins. For instance, 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says that before the day of the Lord, the man of lawlessness, the Antichrist, must be revealed. That's because the day of the Lord begins when the 7 years of tribulation begin, when Antichrist makes a treaty with Israel, as described in Daniel 9. This will be a treaty of global significance. Naturally, the Antichrist must come to prominence before he can make such an important treaty. That event triggers tribulation and the day of the Lord. What keeps those things from happening now, we find in 2 Thessalonians 2. It says, "He who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way, and then the lawless one will be revealed." He who now restrains is the Holy Spirit, operating through and in protection of the church. The church was born with the coming of the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost. This is exactly what Jesus said would happen just before he ascended into heaven a few days earlier. He commanded them not to depart from Jerusalem, but to wait for the promise of the Father, which, he said, "You have heard from me. For John truly baptized with water, but you shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days from now." The Holy Spirit was already present in the world before Pentecost. We see him active in the Old Testament and throughout the ministry of Jesus. But his role was about to change. He came as the one who empowers and protects the church. After the rapture, the Holy Spirit will no longer work through and protect the church on earth because the church will no longer be on earth. Thus, the restrainer will have been removed. The floodgates of evil will open. The world's religious institutions, then turned over to those who did not rise in the rapture, will not only turn against God, but actively ally themselves with Satan. And an unrestrained Antichrist will step out of the shadows into a position of power and prominence. For now, the Holy Spirit restrains evil in order to protect the church. But even as he limits evil, he still allows people to make evil choices. How does that work? 2 Thessalonians 2 explains it. Even though the lawless one is being restrained, the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Mystery refers to a thing still hidden and secret, but soon to be revealed. The same force of evil that will envelop the world after the rapture now lurks behind the scenes, ready to step out from the shadows and tear this world apart. For now, even the most evil among us enjoy a certain level of protection against evil because the Holy Spirit restrains evil as part of his role as the one who empowers and protects the church. So, no, the world is not about to blow itself up, but bad things can still happen. That's why it is so important for us to behave as salt in the earth, salt, a preserving agent, and to behave as the light of the world, allowing Jesus to shine through us in these dark and chaotic times. Thanks for watching. It will help us for you to like and follow Prophecy News Update on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. God willing, I'll see you soon.